he came into some heavy criticism, and so he decided he would leave Rome for a while. And he took some of his men, his closest advisors, and got on the ship and headed out to the island of Rhodes in the Aegean Sea. He had apparently done some studies there and knew the place, and so that was a good place for him to kind of take a bit of a retreat. Unfortunately, as he and his group approached Rhodes, they were attacked by a pirate ship, and they were captured, and Caesar was captured, along with his counselors. These pirates wanted a ransom. This was something that was done a lot in antiquity, you probably know this, and even all the way up to the Middle Ages. One of the great French kings, Francis I, was captured for 2 years, spent 2 years in a cell in Spain. So this was the sort of thing that was done. You capture somebody that's, high up there, you hold them for ransom, you make a lot of money. So these pirates required 12,000 gold pieces for silver. He was a real prize. So his entourage went back to Rome to raise this money, and Caesar stayed with his captors. And they were gone for 40 days. And during those 40 days, Caesar lived with these pirates. He ate with them, he slept among them, played games on the beach, frolicked and had fun with them, and joked with them, and sat around the campfire with them, and told funny stories with them. And they all thought it was great fun. And one of the funny things that he said to them now and then was, when I get away from here, I'm going to come back and I'm going to get you guys, and I'm going to crucify every one of you. And they thought that was really funny. And so his men came back with the ransom. The ransom was paid. Caesar went back to Rome. He raised a flotilla, a ship, and a great army of sailors, and they went back to Rhodes. They captured those pirates, and he crucified every one of them. Now, several things could be taken from that story. One would be, this is something Shelby was saying tonight, our actions have consequences. That would be a general something we could take away. You do something good, generally something good comes from it. You do something bad, you better be looking for problems. A second thing would be that one should respect the powers that be, even though one doesn't always respect the persons who exercise that power. But a third, and this is more important than any of the others, would be how this story reflects the Romans' attitude toward the crucified person. For the Romans, crucifixion was reserved to the worst of criminals. They were not just criminals, they were scum. They were less than nothing to the Romans. Therefore, the Romans nurtured what was called a healthy scorn for any person that they crucified. And the scorn of the executioners and the crowd standing around was part of the shame of the cross. Obviously, it was a shame to be crucified. It was a shame to be considered a criminal and scum and less than nothing. Some of the people they crucified were actually guilty of the crimes they committed, and so maybe that attenuated their shame, maybe. Like the men on the cross with Jesus, or next to Jesus, who said, "We are receiving the due reward of our deeds, but this man has done nothing wrong." But Jesus had done nothing wrong. And yet he was scorned by the Romans, just like they would scorn any crucified man. So I guess my point is, to this point, that according to the Roman law, those pirates deserved to die. But according to the Roman law, Jesus did not. And he was still considered as scum and as less than nothing, because he was a crucified person. The Bible says, now I'm paraphrasing pretty heavily, first part of Hebrews, it says that when Jesus was scorned in his person, he scorned the scorn. He turned it around. One Bible says he despised the shame. He despised the shame. That is, he knew what was happening to him was shameful, that he was considered shameful. But he decided that he was going to scorn that shame. Why did he do that? Well, he did that for me, and he did that for you, because he loved us enough. He knew what was going to happen to him. He knew it was going to be a shameful thing. He was the Son of God, the immaculate, never sinning Son of God, was going to be hung on a cross shamefully. But he did it anyway because he loves us. So then what should we do? Another passage in Hebrews says that we should go to him and bear the reproach that he endured. That's another context, but that principle still applies. Some folks will scorn us always for believing in Jesus and for taking his word so seriously. So let's just scorn that scorn. Let's just accept that shame, if you can call that shame, and bear the reproach that Jesus bore for us. We can follow his example in this way. So, a question for you. Have you ever been ashamed of Jesus? As a non-Christian or as a Christian, have you ever been ashamed of him? The Bible text tells us he was not ashamed of me and he was not ashamed of you. And that's a good reason to scorn any shame that we might bear because we belong to him. Perhaps you haven't accepted to belong to him. You can become a Christian tonight. You can be baptized tonight. Perhaps you've accepted him, and along the way you've become ashamed of Jesus and what he's done for you. There's no better time than right now, while we're singing, to change that. Come while we sing.
Jesus, keep me near the cross, there a precious fountain.